All right. Welcome in, everybody, to episode 100 of Off the Wall. We made it. We did it. Here's to 100 more and 100 more after that. And then, you know what? 100 more after that. Let's have some fun, right? My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you so much for checking out the show, liking on social, subscribing, all that stuff. It's been a blast covering the sport of an indoor and arena football over the past couple of years. And making it to episode 100 is a big deal. It's a massive milestone that not a lot of shows get to. So we're going to have a very fun live show. Haven't done a live Off the Wall in, God, I think probably like a year and a half at this point. So we got some cool things lined up. We got a special guest joining us in a couple of minutes, currently playing in the IFL. We'll tease that a little bit, and he'll be joining us here in just a sec. But what everyone is really tuning in for is this. I know all the sickos out there. Michael Bishop, Grand Rapids Rampage, shout out Damon Harrell, Aaron Garcia, Tony Graziani. We got a pack sealed of the 2006 AFL Upper Deck cards. We're going to crack into these bad boys all throughout the evening and have some fun along the way. So the chat is wide open. So as we have some guests coming in here, make sure that you are throwing questions in the chat, throwing hot takes, cold takes, and all the takes in between. It's going to be a very, very fun time. So I'm excited to do it. I already see a bunch of people in the chat already. We got Sea-Dog, the guy. What's up, Sea-Dog? This week in Arena Ball. Where were you? Where were you for episode 100? That's right. Adam, thank you so much for checking it out. Shout out to Atlas. Atlas, day one fan of the show. Love the shirt. Thank you. Hey, Trey. Hey. Oh, man, they're flooding in now. Clintel's O card, man. This is what's so exciting about this, is that there could be anything in here. And I think the 2006 is the one with the David Baker commissioner suit card. And folks, let me just say, that's going to be a moment if that thing is in here. But we'll get to it. Calm down. Calm. Easy. Go Skulls. Congrats 100. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Alec, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. I mean, we got about 5 minutes before our first gets in here. So I think we should just do it. I think we should rip it into it. And let's have a day. So it says there's how many? There's 8 cards per pack, 24 packs per box, which is absurd. So I don't think we're going to go through all 24 tonight, but this has been like I know I'm kind of, putting this off and making it as dramatic as possible, but this has been sitting on my desk for about a month and a half. And I need you guys to understand the willpower and strength it took not to rip this thing open immediately. Found this thing on eBay and I was like, I need it. I must have it. And man, it was, here we go. God, I'm so excited. Here we go. This week in Arena Ball, how much did you pay for this? So I think I got a good deal on it. It was listed for, I think, 95. I offered 80 and I got it. So $80 for 24 packs. That's pretty good, right? So here we go. It's happening. No going back. Super fan. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Can't wait to see what the future has in store. Yeah, we've got some really cool things in the works. I'm just very excited for the future of the sport, the future of this show, future of adjacent projects that I'm involved with. There's a lot of really cool things happening. So, all right, here we go. Here we go. Here's number 1. Oh God. Oh, she's beautiful. Look at that. A little certificate. No. Oh, here's the checklist of all the cards. Look at that. Shout out to Upper Deck. Full checklist of all the cards here. Wow, there's a lot of them in here. We got a 2000. Well, first off, we got a 2006 schedule card, 20th anniversary of the AFL. Oh, look at that. God, this is bringing me back. Look at all these. Look at all these beauties. A Rush, a Crush, a Rampage, a Cats, Rattlers, Gladiators, Avengers, Sabercats, Utah, Blaze, Destroyers, Desperados, Dragons, Soul. Where's my figure? Wranglers, Force, Brigade, Predator, Storm, heavens to Betsy. And Arena Bowl 20. A great Arena Bowl if you're a Chicago Rush fan, not as much if you are an Orlando Predators fan. So that's enough dilly-dallying. We got the first one here. First one here. And by the way, this is going to be downloaded and put together as a podcast later, and I feel bad for the podcast listeners. So I am so sorry, guys. But this had to be done. We had to do it. All right, we're opening it up. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, I saw the first card already, and I'm excited. Oh, they're a little stuck together. They've been in the box for 20 years. It's okay. It's okay, though. Let me get these things unstuck. I've only seen the back card, so I don't know what we have ahead of us. We got Jermaine Jones. We got Cedric Robinson from the Austin Wranglers. Right on. Ooh, a kicker card. Tim Cedar. Rocking the soul, but he signed with the Brigade. Very fun. Khalil Carter. Very nice, very fun. Wide receiver DB. Ooh, an award winner. Kicker of the year. Remy Hamilton. Very nice. Calvin Coleman. Another Philadelphia Soul over to Kansas City. What do we got here? Terrence Joseph. Good one. Sabercats. Love it. Then the last one. Oh, what a ball player this guy was. Lawrence Samuels. If you guys don't know Lawrence Samuels, we got to have some conversations. Lawrence Samuels was a dude. Jack linebacker, wide receiver, unbelievable on both sides of the ball, insanely athletic. He was just so good for so many years. Ended up being a head coach for the Tampa Bay Storm a little bit later too. So, yeah, this is just the first of many. I'm just so excited to dive into some of these. But our first guest has arrived. About to bring him on. Joining us now is one of my favorite guys, one of my favorite dudes in the IFL. He is an all IFL linebacker for the Tulsa Oilers. He is the mayor of Tulsa. It is Trey Harvey. Trey, how are we doing, buddy?
Trey, I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for hopping in here. How are things in your world? How are things in Tulsa?
Things are great. We're on a bye week this week, so just taking advantage of the recovery. Not having to take as many hits this week. We just played 12 weeks straight, so it feels good just to be able to just not necessarily take a step back, but just to shift gears in what the focus is for the week.
100%. Yeah, that was a brutal stretch you guys had there. But happy you guys are able to get a little rest before this massive playoff push with some very, very important games coming up.
Yeah, we're excited. Me and a couple of guys have already been talking. We love that it's a bye week and we get a rest, but also we're itching. We want
right.
We're this run that we're on. It's contagious. It's addicting, and we don't want to stop. So we're ready just to get back out there and to keep it going.
Absolutely. Well, we got the live chat going here. So, Chad, if you have any questions for Mr. Harvey here, throw it in there. We'll get to him. We'll throw it his way. But I mean, speaking of this run, you just touched on it. Six straight wins after a not so great start, starting 2-5. All 5 of those losses, a combined 22 points. Is there anything in particular that kind of changed to alter the trajectory, or what? Like, walk me through what kind of started the turnaround.
Yeah. I think just as a team comes together in the IFL, there's so many transactions, so it's not very common that you're returning a lot of the same guys. So you're kind of building a new team every year with rookies and guys just changing different teams and going to different organizations, and so that's always a challenge you face head on. We obviously knew the guys that we had on paper, very talented, right? And even we've seen them have success in the league the previous year, but you still got to build that chemistry and team camaraderie and stuff. And so we were getting there. We just kept falling short on the on just the wrong side of the win-loss column. Like you said, only combined of 22 points. And so the lack of effort, the lack of fight was never an issue. I think more so was just increasing our IQ, putting ourselves in different situations in practice, just to make sure we could handle that pressure the next time around, Something that before the Fisher Freight game, the second one that went into overtime, TJ and we had a little talk on the field beforehand where, we just talked, and I was like, hey, we've been in this position 3 times earlier this season. And, we fell short. And I just said, you're a dude. So go be that dude. When you get on that field, you guys go take this game. We trust in you. We believe in you. And so, we talked afterwards, and he was like, bro, that right there, it just helped me flip that switch. And, went out there and called a great play call to go for that 2-point conversion and to get it going. But so I'd say the biggest switch is just our situational IQ, understanding where we're at, what's going on, how many timeouts, down and distance, just different trying to play 2 steps ahead. We've been saying all year we're playing chess, not checkers. And so we're being intentional with what we're doing and how we're operating.
Yeah, we had a chance to meet up and chat for a little bit in Jacksonville earlier this year. And I remember one of the things you said was like, man, we're not a 2-4 team. But at the same time, you are what your record is. And I was like, it's right there. Like some of those coin flip games was like, you just fell on the wrong side of it. So it's been really cool to see this run you guys are on. And it seems like the team is really clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah. And it's kind of not that I enjoy it, but it's kind of been a trend for us in our organization or for our existence. That first year we went 2-14, and it was a rough season. But out of those 14 losses, we lost by an average of 6.2 points. And so then the following year, year 2, we go 6-10, and out of those 10 losses, we lost by an average of 6.6 points. And then last year we got it figured out, and we kind of did the same thing where we started. I think we were 3-3, and then ended up going 3-5, but then ultimately ended up finishing the season 10-6, going into playoffs, and just going on a run where we found ourselves being on the other side in the win column in the close games. And so that was just the difference maker. And so we're kind of in that same boat again this year, but we are a very, very talented team of guys who work hard and are very hungry and eager, and just the team camaraderie. I think this is the closest group of guys that I've played with within the Tulsa Oilers organization. We're hanging out a ton outside of practice, outside of meetings. We enjoy being around each other. We don't really have any selfish guys on the team that are, trying to that get in the way or disrupt, team chemistry or just cause kind of friction. There was a little bit of that in the beginning, and our coaching staff did a good job of just playing the transaction games, finding guys who wanted to be here, who wanted to compete, and guys who ultimately they're trying to get to the next level playing in this league. And so there's a different kind of hunger with that that comes with the guys when they step on the field. So it's been a whirlwind of a season, but we're loving it. We're hot right now, and like I said, it's addicting. We're wanting to keep it going. We just keep saying we didn't come this far just to come this far. So just because we got 6, that's cool and all, but ultimately in our mind, we still got 6 more to go because we want to get that. So.
Yeah, the way the schedule was working out and the way everything was breaking down, I'm like, this could be one heck of a run for Tulsa at the end of the season here. And sure enough, it's happening.
Coach Jones just kept saying, in our team meetings on Mondays after the games, he's just like, guys, the dominoes are falling, and they're falling in our favor. We just got to control what we can control and just keep winning. And he's like, if you win, you're in. You don't have to worry about anything. Just keep winning. Winning solves all problems. So we said, okay. And so that's what we've been doing. Whatever way is necessary, we're going to find a way to win and end up out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. Our guy Alec in the chat here, he says, another stats guy at the helm, a man after my own heart. So you ripping off those points per game stats, that was poetry for my guy Alec there.
Yeah,
Well,
got to. I look at things like that because, you know, a lot of people just see the wins and loss record, but I'm looking at just what caused it, you know? Where
yeah,
are we at as a unit? Is that reflective of where we're at as a team? You know, as a team captain, I can't just approach everything as a normal player would. I kind of
yeah,
have to have a player hat, but then also kind of somewhat of a coaching hat as well, where, you know, I got to be able to help lead my guys out there on that field. I expect for myself to be able to see things that maybe some of them can't see, not necessarily that because they're not smart enough or they're not good enough. Just
right.
being a vet in the league, you know, our secondary is, you know, we've only have first year or second year guys, and so it's still guys that are really talented, but still figuring out the game, still kind of, you know, learning rules here and there, learning how to play leverage and different things like that. And they've done a phenomenal job of it. I love it because I'm surrounded by a bunch of young guys, so
Yeah,
they make me look good. But
yeah,
yeah, so just I gotta see through a different lens to see, all right, what can I do as a captain and as the defensive leader to give us an edge on the next opponent, or, you know, what is it that's keeping us from that one possession game? You know, that's whether it's one play, what we, you know, giving up a fourth down conversion, or there being a penalty, or, you know, just different things like that, where it's like, hey, you know, it doesn't matter where we get the ball. You know, yeah, maybe we kick the ball out of bounds and we ended up with the ball in the 20, but our job's defense is to get a stop. So it
right.
doesn't matter where the ball ends up. So just kind of like, all right, how are we going to make play calls here for this drive to put us in a position? So it's been working out well for us here the second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so speaking of kickoff, something I've always thought about is when the special teams is going for a deuce, it goes through the back of the end zone, the ball gets to the 20. Does your mentality change at all based on where the ball is for the beginning of the opposing offensive drive, or is it just, you know, get the stop? That's the mentality every single time.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the mentality, no matter what. You know, that's just what Coach Jones says. You know, he's a defensive
Mhm.
guy, Hall of Fame linebacker. So he said, hey, it didn't matter where we got the ball. Our job was to go out there and stop the offense from what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
So then that's always the mindset. As soon as you step out there, okay, what are they trying to accomplish here? It's really, and the way I view it, it's really just it's a big game of chess, but all the pieces can move at the same time. And
right,
so you're trying to see, okay, they're trying to get this move here. All right, if we do this, that's going to stop that, or it's going to at least disrupt it, and give our guys a chance to make a play. And so, yeah, depending on where the ball is, you know, teams have tendencies. And so there's a lot of teams that if they end up with the ball on the 5-yard line and, you know, their back's against the wall, then, you know, that maybe they're an 80% run on first down when they're in the back there backed up against the end zone. And then, you know, there's some teams that, hey, if they're on the 20, they like to take a shot first play of the drive, see if you can catch a defensive sleeping, and you know, different things like that. So it's just really knowing your opponent, knowing what they're trying to
right.
accomplish. And but yeah, sometimes, you know, and that's a strategic standpoint as well for kickoff and special teams. You know, that was a conversation that we had against Iowa here in this last game. We've been trying
Mhm.
the deuce all game long, and they kept getting the ball in the 20. And you know, we had talked like, hey, we can't go for the deuce here. I know the 2 extra points might be good and put us, you know, at a 3-point game, but the risk isn't worth the reward here because we're going to put them in field goal range because they have a
Yeah,
decent kicker. Where if you're already on the 20, they're in field goal range. So it's like, hey, let's get a good squib here. We're going to run down and make a play. We ended up tackling them on the 3-yard line.
yeah,
And so when that happens, as the offensive play caller, your playbook shrinks down to just a couple of plays because you're trying to take shots. And so we know, all right, hey, we can play back a little bit on the defense and we can apply pressure from the front 4 up front to kind of get that ball out quick and try to hurry up and get this turnover down. And it ended up working in our favor. So.
yeah. That was one heck of a knuckleball squib there, hit by Axel at the end there. It's like it as perfect as you could imagine it, and they just had a hard time fielding it, just enough time for you guys to get down there.
Oh yeah, I hit him with the old the bad boys where I was like, "That's how you kick from now on.
Yeah,
That's how you kick." I was like, "That's what I'm talking about, dude. That was big
yeah,
time for us." And so, yeah,
yeah.
no, he's been a great addition for us. You know, special teams is a third of the game, and so we got to be special on it. It could be a difference maker in a game. So he stepped up big time for us there. Not his first time this season, obviously, but he has that a ton.
Yeah, he's a good one to have. But we talked about this way back when. I had to look back on what episode number you came on Off the Wall initially. It was episode 6.
Okay.
And here we are 94 episodes later. I'm like, all right, we're back.
That's awesome, dude. That should be a big thing to you of just consistency and just continuing to put in the work, and that's cool. 100 of anything completed is a big goal and accomplishment. So
100%, yeah.
Kudos to you, bro. I have given you plenty of flowers when we met up in Jacksonville. Just I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing for the game. I love how many more people you're bringing in, and just your presence on social media continues to grow, and I love following it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been fun, but it has been a bit of a grind, but it's been a fun grind. But one of the things we talked about in the initial conversation was the nickname, the Mayor. Just so for the folks that may not have watched episode 6 way back when, how did that come about? Because it is one of the absolute best nicknames in indoor football.
Yeah, at first it was it started off as just a joke, and then guys just ran with it. So me being local from Tulsa, I either know a guy or I know a guy that knows a guy. And so when any of the guys needed something, whether it was something like a car, something with their car, oil change, something like that, one of my best friends, works at a Tape Boys here in town. Hey, go talk to AJ, tell him Trey sent you. He hooked one of the guys up with a free oil change one time. They're like, dude, you really are the Mayor, man. And just, a couple guys, I was like, oh, hey, I ran into somebody who asked if I knew you, or they said that they went to school with you or church with you, or that, I don't know. It just made it seem like there was a lot more people knew me than there actually are people that know me.
Right. Yeah.
And so it just stuck where people were like, when a new guy would show up, one of the guys like, oh, yeah, that's the Mayor right there. Like, if you need something, ask him.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm not the Mayor, but if you do need something, I can't help you. And then it didn't matter how much I kept saying I'm not the Mayor. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And so I just embraced it and accepted it. And it is a pretty cool name. I will say that. I'm glad it's not something that was copied, like the Sheriff or, something like that, where it's already been used on a different level before. So it's pretty cool. It's unique. And I try to embrace it now. So it's like, hey, if I'm going to be the guy and everyone says I'm the guy, then I got to step up to the plate and be the guy.
Yeah. The Mayor, the captain, there's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we spoke a little bit about this on social this week, but are you addicted to scoring touchdowns in Des Moines?
I think so. Funny insider conversation here. I wasn't really supposed to play a whole lot this game, but we had some guys that were dealing with some injuries and stuff, and so it just turned out to where I was going to end up, playing a little bit. But that was like a game time decision. That was not going into the first kickoff. I was really not supposed to play a whole lot. Just some special teams here and there. Go in if necessary, kind of an emergency guy. But during our pregame meal, I'm sitting with a couple guys on the team that have been around since the first year. And I was like, man, I don't know how, but I'm going to score a touchdown. I was like, I don't know what it is. It's just inevitable. Yeah. I'm going to score a touchdown. And so I was telling Billy back that because earlier in the season, he had taken me out on there and put Mike Kerrigan back in there, which respect. Mike Kerrigan is a dog of a returner back there. But I was just telling Coach back, like, hey, like, that's my thing. I'm telling you, I got you.
Yeah.
And so he's like, man, I just don't want you to get tackled or twisted up. We need you on defense. And, me, I'm like, heck no, I'm fine. You ain't got to worry about me getting hurt. I'm okay.
Yeah, right.
So Kerrigan went on short-term IR a couple weeks ago. So this was my first opportunity that I had. So if you noticed, as soon as I score, I sprint right over to the bench, and I dap Billy up, and Billy's laughing, and I was just telling him, I was like, that's why you don't take me off of this. That's what I do. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Get that ball. I'm getting hungry, and I'm getting in that end zone. So it was just a cool moment for that to happen, but amazing blocks. I mean, I had guys just build a complete wall for me to run down that sideline. So shout out to the defense for doing their job and opening up lanes for me to run.
Well, I have the play right here. I knew this was going to happen, so I was like, you know what? Let's get it queued up. Let's see. And that was the thing I noticed, where as soon as you scored, no kidding, you sprinted to the sideline, and I'm like, he's letting somebody know something.
I'm so competitive, man. I don't know. I get this chip on my shoulder, and I feel like I have to prove people wrong. Not that back didn't believe in me, but
right.
Yeah. I honestly didn't know Castaneda was that close to me. I just took off and ran.
The full length of the field, it felt like a massive momentum shift.
Yeah, I had to apologize to TJ here. He comes out to celebrate with me, and I kind of just dap him up a little bit on the helmet and run straight to Billy. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. It was after the game. I was like, bro, I'm so sorry. I just realized I did not celebrate with you. That's my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not the first time you've done that. You've done that a couple of times before, right? The whole missed field goal return.
Yeah. So what was it? 2 years ago, I did it against Frisco, the very first game. Later that season, I did it against Iowa at home. And yeah, so I haven't had very many chances, but I think I'm at like an 80% touchdown rate right now on long field goal.
That's pretty good. So that's pretty good. Unbelievable. Yeah, and then last year, that was the game in Des Moines, was the one where it seemed like half the team got ejected and you had to play some wide receiver and you caught the game-winning touchdown with no time left. I'm like, this guy, he's the mayor of Tulsa and Des Moines. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know how it ends up happening, but some way, somehow, I'm going to get the ball in my hands in Des Moines, and when I do, I'm going to get it. But I would like to say on the record, they said I only had 3 touchdowns. I had 4 touchdowns because our first year, that was the first franchise win we've ever had, and I had a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown in that game to score. And so that was my 4th touchdown in that arena in the last 3 years. So not that they were trying to take anything away.
Track up,
who's counting, right?
Yeah, who's counting? Yeah, a stats guy like yourself. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for hopping on here, man.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome to stay in contact with you over the past couple of seasons since you hopped on all the way back in episode 6, and yeah, I'm looking forward to even more in the future as the rest of this season unfolds for the Oilers. Besides the obvious, the playoff push, what's got you excited about this team in particular, looking ahead?
I would just say that everybody's bought in. Everybody doesn't have a selfish motive. In this league, you can get a lot of guys who, they're like, man, I'm just trying to get film and get out. I don't really care about what's going on. But these guys are present. They're where their feet are, and so not that their goal isn't to move up. That's obviously the ultimate goal, but they know in order to do that and get more eyes on us, we got to win. And so in order to win, we got to play together as a team. So, guys just doing extra stuff it has really been the difference maker for us of those last second moments in these games, because the East is the beast conference, honestly. Like, we have top to bottom, even Iowa's record is what it is, but they're still a talented team. And have been doing a good job of trying to bring new guys in and find the right guys to gel, and still a very, very competitive team. And so this East side, so no matter who it is, it's sometimes it's going to be a close game. We just gotta go out there and compete and play our best game. So this push, man, like I said, we're very close as a group, and so it's just really cool every time that we've been able to win and come back the following week, and just still have that, attitude that it's just fun. It smiles around the building, because when you're 2-5 and you've lost 3 in a row by super close margins, you can kind of feel that cloud over you where you're just like, man, how can we get rid of this? And so it's been fun in the building, at the practice facility, in the weight room. Just everybody's happy to show up to work and to get better and to do whatever it is that we need to do for whoever we're playing that week. And so we're ready for this Jacksonville and Quad City push, and and carry the momentum into the playoffs. Hopefully getting this home playoff game for the first round would be cool. We would love to get that 2 seed. And so the dominoes are there. The possibility is there. They got to fall in our direction. So
yeah, that Jacksonville Tulsa game at the BOK Center, July 11th, is going to be a massive one. Before we get you out here, any words for Oilers fans out there?
Keep being the best fans in the league. You guys are great. You guys are our heartbeat. Everybody, whether it's people who play on this team or the away teams, are constantly talking about the environment that they have to play in when they come to the BOK. And so it's one of the hardest ones to play in, even being the home team. When I got to be out there making calls, that's when they're the loudest is on defense. And so we've had to adjust, especially new guys are like, I've never played in an environment like that in the indoor football league. And so, we got something special brewing. Like I said, we didn't come this far just to come this far. And so keep sticking behind us, keep pushing, keep showing up to these games, and let's get rowdy and finish strong. So
let's go.
And we need you. We need you at a game. We need you to come experience the BOK and the environment.
I know. I got to get out there. I got to get out there.
With your name on it. You just let me know when you're pulling up.
Let me check the flight tracker real quick. See if I can find something quick out there.
Come on.
All right, Trey. Thank you so much for hopping on here, man. And we'll talk soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, brother.
All right. That was Trey Harvey from the Tulsa Oilers. Unbelievable player and even better person. Look at that. Where'd I go? Oh, I did something. There we are. We're back. So, yeah, Tulsa, a very, very fun team. They have such a good bit of momentum behind them now. And, that game on the 11th is going to be massive because you look at the standings of the Eastern Conference, and Tulsa wins this game. They can leapfrog Jacksonville. And it's a very real possibility that Tulsa can steal that home game and have another potential rematch of some of the playoffs that we saw last year with Tulsa and Jacksonville. So, no, that wasn't the playoffs last year. I think that was one of the games leading into the playoffs last year. But, yeah, Trey Harvey, great guy. And love chatting it up with him. And some of the stuff he does on the football field is incredible, whether it's filling in on offense as a wide receiver when they need it. He's lined up at linebacker, DB, field goal return. What can't the guy do? So he's one of the best out there and one of my favorites. So big shout out to Mr. Harvey for joining the program and talking shop. But yeah, so from here, got another guest slated to join us probably a little bit later. So from here, I guess we'll just chat through some of the games of the IFL from this past weekend. Had some really, really good ones that took place. Let's pull it up here. And if there's anything you guys want to talk about, throw it in the chat, please. It's an open forum, open discussion. Would love to chat it up with some of y'all. But where are we? All right, pull up last week's schedule. Eventually, I'll get used to the new IFL site. I think week 18 is when I'll really get a hang of it. But yeah, I mean, for starters, starting off in Green Bay hosting the Fishers Freight on that Saturday game, the last home game of the season for Green Bay, and they just absolutely rolled over Fishers, man. It was one of those games where Green Bay was coming off the bye week, and it was like, okay, are we going to have a rest versus rust situation? Like, what are we about to anticipate? Like, what are we going to get here? But they came out firing on all cylinders. Kyrie Robinson, IFL Offensive Player of the Week this past week. 5 touchdowns, 119 rushing yards. And it seemed like every single time he was touching the ball, it was 10, 15, 20 yards. And he's like so elusive and so patient at the same time. He's just an unbelievable talent that Green Bay, putting him on a Green Bay offense is dangerous because Liam Thompson, probably the IFL MVP frontrunner at this point, with how he's been playing. And this whole team has just been unbelievable, scoring 83 points. I think that on the broadcast, they said that was the most in the Corey Roberson era. And that's saying something. He's been there quite a while. He's been there quite a bit. So looking at the stats for that game, yeah, Liam Thompson, and that was the thing. They scored 83, and Liam Thompson didn't really have to do a ton through the air in this one. 7 of 10, 105, and a touchdown, but they scored 9 rushing touchdowns. 5 from Robinson, 2 from Thompson, and then 2 from Cole Sindstrom, who came in relief of Thompson in the fourth quarter. But for Fishers, passing-wise, they looked pretty good in this one. They're typically a run-first oriented team, and when you have, Dominic Roberto, Josiah King in that running back rotation, why wouldn't you be, right? But Felix Harper really showed out in this one. 21 for 24, 216, and 5 touchdowns through the air. CJ Wyndham, friend of the program, hauling in 2 touchdowns. Josiah King, 7 catches for 61 yards. And the offense for Fishers wasn't the problem. The defense just could not catch a break, and they just could not get off of the field. So for Fishers, they're sitting in the 5 spot right now in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Let me get that pulled up. I should have had this ready. My apologies, y'all. Let me pull up the standings here. This is what happens when you do it live. All right, here we go. All right, so looking at the standings here, you got Green Bay clearing away the number 1 seed right now, 2 games ahead of the Sharks with only 3 games to go. And then you got the Fishers Freight here at 7-7. They're like a game and a half behind. I guess. How does the math work on that? 13 games versus 14 games. But they're like, all that to say, no matter how the math works out, Fishers has a realistic chance. And the way the end of the season could work out is extremely interesting for this Fishers team that's sitting at 7-7 right now, where they only have 2 games left. The rest of the teams have 3 games left, in the East at least. So Fishers' next game is against Quad City, I believe, in a couple of weeks. Is it Quad City? Yeah, at Quad City. Quad City hasn't really had their greatest season. So if Fishers can go into Quad City and get a win, that improves them to 8-7. Orlando, they're facing Green Bay this week, where Green Bay, if they win, I think they will. I think if Green Bay wins, they will clinch the 1, or they're like that close from clinching the 1. So if Green Bay beats Orlando's sitting at 8-6. Fishers sitting at 8-7. Orlando has to play San Antonio. Probably going to win that game. So they're sitting at 9-6. Guess what the last game of the season is? The Fishers Freight versus the Orlando Pirates in Fishers, Indiana. So if Orlando's sitting at 9-6 and Fishers sitting at 8-7, there's a very real possibility that game is for a playoff spot. Winner moves on, loser goes home, and that is the first. Realistically, that's the first game of the playoffs, and so it's just such an exciting schedule to finish the year. The script writers are going crazy. The way the schedule is working out is unreal. There's just so many different things that can happen, will happen, and no matter what ends up happening, it's gonna be a very fun finish. Gosh dang it! I ended up going back again. No, that's not it. No, it's my first time doing this, guys. Sorry. Alec, Green Bay gets top 2 with a win. Would get 1 if Jacksonville loses either of the next games. Blaze and Sharks face each other final day of the season. Yeah, so that makes sense. And the way Green Bay's going, they're probably gonna lock up the 1 seed sooner than later. And with Jacksonville not looking their best, and Tulsa looking really, really good, that 1 seed could be locked up next weekend, right? So, yeah, what a race for the final playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. Alec also threw in here couple good ones this week. Alone, Sea Dog, GB Orlando on Sunday, Arizona San Diego on Monday to look forward to. Arizona San Diego, that's going to be awesome. Oh, that's in response to looking at the rest of the schedule. What is the game you think will be the must-watch game? Honestly, the way the schedule's working out, there's a lot of must-watch games. There's a lot of them where I'm scrolling down now. That Jacksonville-Tulsa game on the 11th, that's a very important game where, like I said, Jacksonville's sliding a little bit in the wrong direction. Tulsa has just been on a meteoric rise over the past month and a half. Tucson, Arizona on the 11th as well. Tucson at Arizona. That's an interesting one. Where the last time these two teams met in Tucson, Tucson pulled off the upset as double-digit home dogs, and they won outright. But then also on the 12th, San Diego versus Vegas. That could be a game that ends up deciding who the 1 seed in the West is, and that's a very important distinction because San Diego plays extremely well at home, and so does Vegas. Vegas plays well at home as well. So, what else we got here? Yeah, the week 9, is that week 19? Yeah, week 19 looks a little chalky. Looks a little one-sided, if we're being honest here. But week 20, final week of the season, Tucson versus San Diego, that could be a preview of the round 1 of the playoffs. So how do you approach that in that scenario where if they know they're playing each other next week? What do you do? You can't really pull all your players. You can't really, the roster is only so deep. Yeah, and then that Orlando Fishers game on the last week of the season, it could be for a playoff spot. Like I said, winner moves on, loser goes home. But I think one of the more interesting games of the entire slate, depending on how things work out, it was going to be a lot more interesting, is this game. Let me share my screen again. Let me do this one more time. This game right here. Green Bay at Jacksonville. Now, before Jacksonville went on a 2-game losing streak, it was looking like this game, the final game of the season, could be for the number 1 seed in the East. But a lot of things have to break Jacksonville's way in order for that to be the case now, just because they are on a 2-game skid. And it's looking like Green Bay is probably going to lock it in a little sooner than later. But yeah, this final Sunday potentially being amongst 3 of the 4 playoff teams is just very, very exciting. And I did it again. Here we are. No, jeez. There we go. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer, Sea-Dog, to say a lot of games matter. A lot of games. I got some catching up to do here. I'm curious on the chat's thoughts. Given the number of people that wear NFL jerseys to arena indoor games, are we yay or nay on wearing arena jerseys to NFL games? 1,000%. Yes. Rock your arena jersey to an NFL game. Grow the game. That's how we got to do it. Like a lot of it, you got to expose people to, and people love weird jerseys. Like if you go to a game wearing a Fisher's Freight jersey, you're going to get some eyes. You're going to get some eyeballs, and you might have some conversations at the same time. So, yeah, 1,000%. Wear your arena football jersey. Wear your indoor football jersey. Do your thing. Are you going to any more games this year? World of Football. What is up, Randy? Yes, for sure. 1,000% going to the IFL National Championship game in Tucson. So that's going to be very fun. Very excited for the whole weekend of events that's going to take place there. Last week of the regular season, it's looking like we're going to Jacksonville for that Green Bay Jacksonville game. But it's in pencil right now, not necessarily in pen. Might be Orlando Fishers based on how the next week or two plays out, which game may be of a little bit more importance, but yeah, we'll see. But definitely going to at least 2 more IFL games this year, one in the regular season, but at the bare minimum, the IFL National Championship game is probably going to be the next one, or at least the next one. You get what I'm trying to say. All right, what else we got here? Anyway, AF1 games you're thinking about going to. Yeah, so I've been to a couple this year. I went to Clarksville for the Washington Wolfpack game earlier, and then the Oceanside Bombers game earlier this year. Depending on how the playoffs shake out, might be able to slide over there for another one, just because it's only a couple hour drive for me from where I'm at. AF1, it's just so far spread out. I say that as if I didn't go to Oceanside for a Quad City San Diego game and go to Arizona, right? But yeah, circumstances and things and stuff in the area of those teams made it a little bit easier to do that. But probably another Cats game by the end of by the end of this year, but we'll have to see how the schedule shakes out. Because I think they have Cats have one more home game. I'm live checking myself. No, so their next home game would be in the playoffs. Yeah, so they're away at Washington, and then they're away at Albany to finish the year. So the next home game for Nashville is going to be in the playoffs, probably after our first round bye. Oh, good question, Juno. So you did the best logos. What is the best team ball in the IFL? This one's a tough one because the teams do a bunch of different like themed balls. So I like the New Mexico Chupacabras did the Breaking Bad blue meth ball, which was incredible. But if you're talking like generic, normal team issue balls, I like the Freight one. Like, it's very fun. Nice little blue and yellow action. The Tucson one's pretty sweet. I need to blow these up and display them. I got the Boneyard edition. Look at that. Very fun. It's like a patterned white too. It's not like all white. So yeah, there's some cool ones out there. Let me know what you guys think is the best team ball in the IFL. A lot of cool ones out there. All right, what other games do we want to dive into here? We talked about Green Bay throttling Fishers. That Tulsa Iowa game, that was a nail biter. That was probably a little closer than Tulsa fans wanted, but Iowa showed some fight, and Tulsa ended up on the right side of one of those close games, like we talked about when Mr. Harvey was on. And yeah, Tulsa continues their good run, and 6 straight wins for them, and they're in prime position, and they do control their own destiny to get to at least the 2 seed if they can win out and top Jacksonville next week. It all starts there. San Antonio, Vegas. This game. First off, when the game started and I saw Jaden Delora was not playing, I was like, oh God, what has happened? As someone who selected the over 84.5, over 83.5, I was like, oh no, we might be cooked. And Alec can confirm the language was probably a little bit different than we might be cooked. But yeah, what a game this was. It looked like San Antonio was going to be able to pull it off and get the win. Zach Calzada came in, and the first game put up 70 on New Mexico. Second game laid an egg against Tulsa. And then this game looked pretty good, all things considered. And this was a very winnable game. And if you're going to win one against Vegas, it's probably going to be when Jaden Delora's out, right? But Vegas fought and clawed, stayed in it. San Antonio got some help on the defensive side of the ball with a pick 6. Rav Rivers had an unbelievable kick return touchdown that is probably the play of the day. If the Hail Mary at the end, the walk-off Hail Mary touchdown for the win, for the over, all that stuff. If that happens, it's if that doesn't happen, the Rivers kickoff return was just unreal. If you haven't seen it, please go to socials. Please go to IFL socials and check that out. It was so good. But yeah, Vegas found a way to win, and it sounds like they're a couple weeks away from getting from getting fully healthy, and they're managing to keep their head afloat or keep their head above water while they're dealing with some injury issues and shuffling the roster and getting people up to speed on certain things. So this Vegas team, Antonio Wimbush coming back rejoining the team after a crazy 2025 season where they won the championship. Just an unbelievable roster that they've got, and there's a chance Josh Tomas is back with Antonio Wimbush on the same offense, and that's absurd. Yeah, 21 points in the final 124 of the game. That is why we endure war, folks. That is why we endure war. Arizona, New Mexico. Arizona flipped back to Max Myler and then remembered who they were and just rolled over New Mexico. New Mexico, man, they gotta switch up the quarterback. They gotta play up on Rucker. They gotta just get him some minutes, get him some time. You know what Porter he is at this point. Keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. Get some fresh blood. Get some new faces on the field. Orlando Quad City. Orlando. Let me start with Quad City. Quad City, Daquan Neal did not play in this game due to hamstring injury, and they just could not really get any mojo going on offense without him at the helm. Judd Roberts really struggled to get the ball going, and he was holding on to the ball for such a long time. And I think one of the commentators in this game said that, like, he described it pretty well, where he's waiting for the receiver to be open before throwing instead of throwing it in anticipation of him being open. And it was just disrupting a lot of the rhythm and a lot of the flow of the Quad City offense, and they just really couldn't get anything going. And the Quad City defense, they were hanging on for dear life. I think they held Orlando to 17 at halftime, and the Orlando offense had trouble really getting off to a hot start, which is not surprising considering how they played on the road so far this season. But ultimately, the straw broke the camel's back was that safety. Orlando's defensive line continued their impressive streak of just terrorizing opposing offensive lines and quarterbacks and breaking through, getting that safety, getting the ball back, and then scoring again. It was like a 16-point swing in a matter of 7 or 8 minutes or something like that. So, Quad City, I declared them dead a little while ago, but they're technically still alive. They still have a pulse sitting at 5-8, but they need to win out and get a lot of help in order for them to sneak into the playoffs at this point. But Orlando, they needed to win a game on the road to keep themselves in the mix. They got it, and they face a very tough challenge against the Green Bay Blizzard this upcoming weekend. The game is at the Kia Center in Orlando, so Orlando's 5-0 at home, but this is by far their biggest test of the teams that have come to visit. This Green Bay Blizzard team that still has something to play for, coming off of an 83-point game against the Fishers Freight. That's going to be a very fun one. So if you like points, if you like action, if you like Puka Williams scoring long touchdowns, if you like Kyrie Robinson scoring long touchdowns, this game is probably the one for you. What else we got? Tucson Naz. Tucson came into this game white hot in the Western Conference. I think they were the winners of 4 straight or 5 straight. And Naz with interim coach firing their head coach Ron James last week, and the streak of teams firing their head coach and immediately winning their next game improved to 3-0 this year with Orlando. It wasn't a firing, it was a mutual separation. They won their next game. I believe that was against Tulsa. Who else was it? New Mexico won their next game against Naz, ironically. And then Naz won their next game against Tucson. So Tucson had a double-digit lead late in this one, and they threw the ball. They threw the game away. Like they had a chance to win this one, but ultimately 5 turnovers was too much to overcome. And the fact that they had 5 turnovers and only lost by 2 points, I don't know if that's a silver lining. I don't know if you feel better. I don't know if you'll feel worse if you're a Tucson fan, but they're still in the driver's seat for the 4 seed at this point. The top 3 teams in the West have all clinched playoffs already. Just a matter of what seed at this point, but it's looking like Tucson's going to be that 4th one to be able to get in the mix. San Antonio's still technically alive, but I wouldn't hold my breath for it. But then in a week where we had bangers, one of the biggest bangers of the weekend might have been the San Diego Strike Force facing the Jacksonville Sharks on Sunday night indoor football in Duval County. San Diego came in and they weren't really sugarcoating what they were going to do. They came in, they said, you know what, we're going to feed Vander. We're going to feed Vander some more. And then we're going to mix it up and then feed Vander. And it was just, it was incredible because on the broadcast, Coach Curtis Riggs mentioned, he said, Coach Jason Gibson from the Jacksonville Sharks told us that if Ed Vander is in the backfield, they run the ball 95% of the time. And that was pretty accurate. Like when Ed Vander was in the backfield, they handed the ball to Ed Vander and let him work and let him cook. And he was getting 5 yards, 6 yards, a tough 4 yards, gaining a first down here. Yeah, like it was just unbelievable because Jacksonville seemingly knew what San Diego was going to do, but still couldn't stop it. And that's the ultimate feather in the cap for San Diego, where they weren't reinventing the wheel. Like Nate Davis was being the field general that he is and being extremely precise with the ball, had that early interception. But after that, he was so good, and calling the plays and doing everything that he needed. And then talk about that game sealing quarterback scramble where they needed 6 yards and he got 6 3/4 yards on the scramble. And Dog, we got 10 yards of Nate Davis running the ball. So Nate Davis, dual threat quarterback. I've always said that. I've always said he was a dual threat quarterback. But San Diego looks so good, and they're number one in the West for a reason. And the story with San Diego before the Vegas game was, can they beat a team with a winning record? They did. Then it was, can they beat a team with a winning record on the road? Not only did they do it on the road, they traveled across the country, and they did it. So if you're San Diego, you got to be feeling really good. But you had this is a tough stretch of the schedule for San Diego, where they have Vegas, Jacksonville, and then Arizona this upcoming Monday night. So we got some Monday night indoor football. But the first 2 legs of this road trip have been successful for San Diego. So the San Diego Arizona game is going to tell us a lot about both of these teams, and is going to be an extremely important game for seeding in the Western Conference. But for Jacksonville, Sammy Edwards looked much better in this game. Still looked a little off at times, and ultimately feels like you got to find ways to get Jimmy Robinson the ball a lot more. If you're Jacksonville, they did better in this one, and they have him on kickoff duty, so he's getting the touches, but it just feels like you got to be more intentional with a toss out to Jimmy early. They do a lot of read options where you want to take advantage of Sammy's athleticism, but in order for that to be impactful, you got to be able to establish the threat that Jimmy Robinson is at the same time. Jacksonville, they locked in a playoff spot this past weekend, but I know the aspirations for Sharks fans is to have that home playoff game. They haven't had a home playoff game in 3 years since they were in the NAL in 2023. So they got to get their act together very, very quickly if they're wanting to get a home playoff game, because the talk was they were excited about the possibility of getting the 1 seed, and then they drop a couple games since making the quarterback switch, and then suddenly you're holding on for dear life for that 2 seed at this point. Alec, I disagree with most people's takes on Jacksonville's 3 games. Edwards and the offense have been fine. Defensively, though, they've allowed 54, and 62. Yeah, and it kind of plays into what we were talking about before, where San Diego was not mixing up what they were doing. Like, it was pretty clear what they were going to do. But to Jacksonville's defense's credit, of that 62, 7 was on the Jalen Sample barbell, 7 was on the Kyle Kelly kickoff return, 7 was on the Devin Hafford kickoff return. So you take away those points, that knocks that total down to 42. So it's still not ideal, but when you take that into consideration, it's a little bit better. But yeah, defensively, Sharks are in a bit of a rut, and I think Coach Riggs on the commentary during that San Diego game was mentioning, like, the DBs are so far off the line, and you know what they're going to do. So defensive rules apply. You can't just load the box up, but you can come a little bit closer than 9-10 yards off the line of scrimmage. So yeah, Jacksonville's got some work to do, and they're in the playoffs. It's just a matter of where they land on the playoffs, because the 1 is still in play, but the 4 is also still in play for them based on how the past couple games have gone. But we're way overdue to open another pack here. So we got this guy here. The podcast listeners, we're looking at the pack. Oh, I didn't even plug my stuff. I'm not great at this. Off the wall, FB.com. We have the off the wall t-shirts. They are marked down to $20 in celebration of hitting the 100 episode milestone. So if you go to offthewallfb.com, go over to the shop page, it'll be on there for $20. So we only have a handful of shirts left. I'm looking at them now. Got about 13 or 14 shirts. Mostly XLs, some larges, a couple 2Xs. So if you don't have an Off the Wall t-shirt, please go over there and get one. Have it discounted to celebrate the tremendous occasion today. And if you're not already, please make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on, if you might be watching this on X, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, all the things and stuff. We're on Facebook too. So if you don't already follow us on Facebook, please make sure you do that. All right, let's open these bad boys up. See what we got. Yeah, World of Football. Live podcasts are hard, especially by yourself. I'm over here thinking I'm crushing it, and I'm like, oh, I haven't even done half the things I've been talking about wanting to do. Oh, all right, here we go. Here we go. We got Hammond Milligan. We got Lindsey Fleshman. Look at that old Nashville Cats uniform and logo. Oh, here we go, World of Football. Here we go. Anthony Hines, wide receiver, linebacker. Ooh, Willis Marshall. Very good wide receiver DB. Willis Marshall, Colorado Crush. Ooh, fun card. Fun card. New Orleans Voodoo. Andy Kelly. 96 passing touchdowns. Was when he signed with the Kansas City Brigade. Oh, Los Angeles Avengers quarterback Brian Mann. We got, he's wearing Georgia Force apparel, but he was signed with the Philadelphia Soul. We got Kevin Gaines. And we got Clint Stoerner, formerly of the Dallas Desperados, signed with the Nashville Cats. He, pretty sure he went to Arkansas. Yeah, he went to Arkansas. Somebody on X was like, if you get a Clint Stoerner card, please let me know. So if you're watching, got your card, pal. Got it for you. Got it for you right there. All right, I got a couple of these guys. So I realized the cards I opened before were the 2005 cards. So these are the 2006 ones. So do a little side by side here. Do a little side by side. Here's the 2005 one with John Dutton, cover boy for the AFL game. And then, a little side-by-side comparison of what the 2005 versus 2006 cards look like. It's pretty fun, right? Yeah. Yeah, so if you do end up buying a t-shirt, I always slip in some extra goodies. Some of those goodies may include a card or two. And I got lots of things and stuff from different teams as well. So, yeah, if you need me to sweeten the pot a little bit, there it is. There it is. All right, what do we got here? Jackson, congrats on 100 episodes. Thank you. Appreciate that. Between the two Upper Deck AFL sets, I can never decide if I like or dislike that they didn't airbrush photos for players who signed with the new teams. I like it. I think it shows the kind of showcases more of the league. Jackson, you can go to offthewallfb.com and then click on shop. So, yeah, offthewallfb.com. It should be in the description on YouTube if I set it up correctly. That's a big if. Let me check. Yeah, so it's not hyperlinked, but it's in the description. So offthewallfb.com. So you can go do that. Then we got the Royal Retros affiliate link as well. So if you're a big AF1 guy, if you're a big old school AFL guy, you can buy something from there. Use code OFFTHEWALL and to get 10% off your purchase. So scroll down just a little bit right there, and you'll see the link on the YouTube page. So, let's rip another one. Chad, if you got topics you want to talk through, please throw it in there, and we'll make it happen. I'm gonna open one more of these guys. There's so many packs in here. There's so many. Here we go. Okay. All right, what do we got here? Oh, they're stuck together. I saw one player on here that I'm very excited about. All right, we got Jermaine Lewis, wide receiver linebacker for the Nashville Cats. Then we got John Fitzgerald, Austin Wranglers. Here's the one I saw that I got very excited about. E2 Molden. This guy rocked. E2 Molden absolutely rocked. His rookie year, he had 101 catches, 1,200 yards, and 23 touchdowns. Second year, 98 catches, 1,000 yards, 25 total touchdowns. Oh, yeah, he also had 28 tackles and 3 interceptions. Crazy. He was so good. So good for the Chicago Rush. All right, let me finish this pack, then we'll talk about some of the questions here. Ooh, Chris Jackson. Love a Chris Jackson Arena Bowl recap. This is when Matt Nagy led the Georgia Force to the Arena Bowl. Said Jackson played a terrific game as he caught 7 passes for 84 yards and a touchdown for the Force. Jackson's touchdown came in the fourth quarter with 18 seconds left and tied the game 48-48. So we'll have to go watch that back for a Turf Tapes episode. Ooh, friend of the program, Calvin Schexnader. Played a long time with the Rattlers, but here in his SaberCats years, shout out to Shakes. Next time I'm out in Arizona, I'll have to see if I can meet Shakes in person, maybe get a little auto on that. Here we go. Now we're cooking. Tony Graziani. Tony Graziani. One of them ones. Says in 3 separate contests in 2005, Graziani posted 8 touchdown passes. The former Oregon Duck is looking to lead the club to their first ever appearance in the Arena Bowl, which the fans hope occurs in the 2006 season. Tony Graziani. At the time of this card being printed, Graziani is the only player in league history to throw 90 or more touchdowns in 3 consecutive seasons. Look at that. We got a couple more here. We got Hardy Mitchell, former Grand Rapids Rampage of the Destroyers. And then James Rowe. James Rowe is a guy. Great wide receiver, jack linebacker. He's very much of that Corey Fleming build. He was a big-bodied wide receiver who could play on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, 2005, he had 116 catches for 1,400 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 24.5 tackles on defense. Unbelievable. The days of Iron Man was crazy. Crazy. Well, that's a fun fact, Chris. If I'm not mistaken, Schexnader is the only player to have the same photo across the 2005-2006 sets. We'll have to confirm that. We'll have to see if we can confirm that.
All right, I fell behind on some of the chat. I'm sorry. I think there were some questions I missed. Where were they? I thought I missed some. Let's see here. All right, scrolling back down. Ooh, which Athens name did you pick? Great question. What were they again? There was the Panic, it was the Crush, it was the Bullfrogs, and then there was the Hedgehogs. I think Bullfrogs is the most fun. Well, maybe not the most fun, but makes the most sense from a IFL branding perspective. I think where you're playing into the Bulldogs thing, right? Where you're not making it exactly close. It feels like Panic or Crush is probably going to be the name that gets selected, but what I don't understand, the team coming out and saying, we will never have the color orange if the name is Crush. And like the whole reason why Crush is one of the names that's available is because REM, the band, is from Athens, Georgia, and they have a song called Orange Crush. So if you're going to name the team after a song called Orange Crush, feels like you got to have orange in the mix there. So if you're dead set against color orange, why? I don't I don't understand. What else we got here? Sea Dog. I picked the Bullfrogs as well. Yes, indeed. You picked the Crush. All right, ELS. Pick the Crush. I wanted to pick the Crush, but my inner childhood won't let me. My introduction to the sport. Yeah, the Colorado Crush, man. The Colorado Crush. Justin, what's going on? Hope you're having safe travels out to Europe. Safe travels, my friend. Let's dive into some AF1. We talked about this for a little bit on Arena Football Weekly. So if you haven't already, please check out Arena Football Weekly on the Off the Wall YouTube page, where me and my friend Adam Pelletier kind of talk through things and stuff in the arena football world. On the field, things and stuff in the arena football world. Or this past week, we talked about IFL, talked about AF1 action that took place. So we kind of dove into some of these games, but there were only 2 games in the AF1 this past weekend, and both of them were blowouts, for lack of a better term. But yeah, the Nashville Cats beating up on the Beaumont Renegades 72-20, and then the Michigan Arsenal beating up on the Washington Wolfpack 64-36. So Michigan's looking like they are the hottest team in the AF1 right now, and just continuing to put points up in bunches on the scoreboard. Malik Henry looked unbelievable. I know I've been as some folks, Krish, would put it, I've been a hater of Malik Henry, but just mechanically, he was doing a lot of things very poorly at the very beginning of the season, but he has improved tenfold over the past couple of weeks, and throwing 9 touchdown passes is just unbelievable. And finding Jairus Grissom, there you go, Adam, did that for you. Or Jairus, not Jairus Grissom for 6. And then Dan Williams for 3. Just unbelievable output from that Michigan Arsenal offense, and that defense putting in work as well. And Washington, offensively, they couldn't really get out of their own way. Eric Phoenix did the best he could, but schematically, it seems like Washington is running a lot of long developing plays, when in reality, you got to hit the quick stuff. You got to be able to get the ball out quick on a quick low bubble screen, on a quick little one-step, hit them on a quick hitch. Like, you got to be able to do some of that stuff, and it just seems like Washington's struggling to do that. So looking like they're going back to Javi Magalay this upcoming week against Nashville. So Washington gets Michigan last week, and then Nashville this week on a back-to-back homestand. So Washington's got their work cut out for them, but they're looking like they're in a spot to be able to make the playoffs and potentially host a home playoff game if the right things happen for them that way. So, going back to the first game, the Beaumont Renegades versus Nashville Cats, Nashville just outmatched Beaumont in every single way, and it was looking like based on how Beaumont played the week before, Clint Solomon went back to Beaumont and was the OC again. Remember, he was the OC for Beaumont when they won the NAL championship in 2025. So he went back, and it looked like they were starting to get back into a rhythm with Carl Robinson. But this Nashville Cats team is they're just so impressive on both sides of the ball. You look up and down the roster, they just have guys and dudes all over the place, and they just outmatched them in a big way. So yeah, let's look at the standings there. I'll pull up the standings and I'll share those and we'll talk through it. 16 playoffs, that is right. 8 teams in the league, 6 teams in the playoff. That'll do it. So what we got here? We got Nashville Cats at 9-1 on the year. Albany Firebirds at 8-2 on the year. You haven't really seen this, a losing streak in Albany. Kentucky Barrels 7-3 on the year. Kentucky hasn't had a home game since May 16th, I think was the stat, which is absurd that they haven't had a home game in that long. Minnesota Monsters sitting at 5-4. Washington 5-5. Michigan once 2-6, storming back and looking like a real threat to anybody in the playoffs, sitting at 5-6 as well. So they're essentially locked in. But Nashville, if Nashville wins one more game, I think they basically have it locked up. So Nashville's looking like they're going to be the number 1 seed. Albany can get the number 1 seed, but it's going to come down to. No, let's think about this. What did we talk about? We talked about Nashville has Washington. Nashville has Albany. Albany has Beaumont. Albany has Nashville. So hypothetically, there's the T-shirt. If in case you guys are interested, plugging it again. So if Nashville loses to Washington, they drop to 9-2. If Beaumont loses to Albany, or Albany beats Beaumont rather, they improve to 9-2. Suddenly, that game between Nashville and Albany is a winner-take-all for the number 1 seed. But hypothetically, Nashville wins this game. They improve to 10-1. Albany improves to 9-2. That game still might be for the 1 seed. It would just depend on what the tiebreakers are at that point. Yeah, Nashville definitely controls their own destiny, but I'm curious if Nashville wins this week, Albany wins this week, and then Albany beats Nashville, what the tiebreakers are in the AF1. No matter what they are, they're going to benefit Albany, so let's not kid ourselves here. But yeah, I'm surprised that Albany lost 2 games in a row. Yeah, this is a surprising skid. Nashville would get number 1 if they go 1-1 and lose against Albany. Oh, they sit on Flock U. Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, thank you, Defense Kid. Appreciate that. Yeah, in order for Albany to get the number 1 seed at this point, you need Washington to beat Nashville. And based on how the first meeting went between those 2 teams, albeit it was in Clarksville, it was not in Everett, Washington. It was not with the Washington Wolfpack home MVP jet lag on the team. So you got to take that into consideration. But yeah, Washington, it's going to be an interesting game where defensively they might be able to get a stop or 2 or a couple stops on this Nashville offense. But the opposite side of the ball is what is absolutely terrifying for this matchup in particular between Washington and Nashville next week. So only a couple games this past weekend in the AF1. And then looking ahead here, like we talked about, we got Nashville going to Washington, playing tomorrow night. So we got a little AF1 after dark action. Albany facing Beaumont. Should be an absolute slaughter. Kentucky versus Minnesota. That's a very interesting one that has some implications for at least Minnesota. I'm not sure. I don't think it has any implications for Kentucky. Michigan Oceanside in a couple of weeks, and then they return a trip. Nice little home and home for Michigan and Oceanside. But Washington versus Minnesota is a very, very interesting matchup. in a couple of weeks, where this game could end up deciding who hosts a home playoff game in the first round of the playoffs between these two teams that are meeting up. So these two teams are probably looking like they're going to meet in the first round of the playoffs. But the winner of this game could potentially host the rematch not the very next week, but 2 weeks later. So it's interesting to see how the schedule kind of worked out for the AF1 as well. But going back to the standings, let's take one more look at it here. Yeah, Nashville's looking like they're gonna be the number 1 seed. Albany looking like they're gonna be the number 2. Kentucky's got a couple games in hand already over Minnesota, so it's looking like they'll be the 3. But this is where it gets a little muddy, that 4, 5, and 6. So realistically, Michigan could, if they win out, they have back-to-back games against Oceanside, they'll probably win out. They're sitting at 7 and 6. Washington drops to Nashville, and then Washington drops, or even if Washington wins against Minnesota, Michigan leapfrogs Washington. Minnesota loses to Kentucky. Minnesota beats Beaumont. Minnesota loses to Washington. No. I don't know. There's a path. There's a path somewhere where Michigan could potentially get a home playoff game here, which is extremely interesting considering, a month ago they were sitting at 2 and 6, and the haters were out and about, as some folks would say it. Albany gets the weaker teams if they're the 2 seed, in my opinion. I don't know about that, because I'm assuming it's. Did they say on Flock U if it would be the 1 seed gets the lower seed? So if Michigan is the 6th seed and they win, do they automatically go to Nashville? Because if that's the case, if Kentucky, well, no, Kentucky would be playing Michigan at that point. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting scenarios at play here. So the AF1 season itself has been putting together quite a little dramatic run to finish the season here. Just saw your post, Justin. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you doing that. And then TAL's off this upcoming week. I need to do some binge watching of TAL to get fully caught up. I've caught a couple games here or there, but have not been knee deep in it like I would want to be before I fully speak on it. But they had quite a viral moment this past weekend between the Memphis Hound Dogs and the Arkansas Diamonds. This week in Arena Ball on Twitter posted the clip of the final play in the field storming, and it got so much traction on X. And how many views is it at this point? Let's see. Let us see here. Trying to find your video, Defense Kid. It's got 1 million views. Yeah, I'd say it's 1 million impressions, not views. It's 1 million people at least scrolled past the tweet. So that's still impressive. Still impressive though. So give yourself a pat on the back, Defense Kid. Very, very nicely done. Very, very nicely done. All right, let's open up another pack. See what we got here. Again, great comments, great questions in the chat. Keep them coming. Again, feel sorry for the podcast listeners on this one. There's got to be a special card coming out. Come on. Here we go. And these cards are so old, it's kind of hard to open them. These cards are 20 years old. That's crazy. Oh, I saw the last card. That was a good pack. Oh, there's some good ones in here. I can tell already by separating them. This is the best pack by far, fellas. Henry Bryant, Austin Wranglers. BJ Berry wearing some Oklahoma Yard Dogs jerseys. Columbus Destroyers. Or, yeah, it's Columbus. Randy Gatewood. Yes, indeed. Arizona Rattlers legend. What an incredible Iron Man he was. 10th year in the league, he had 82 catches, 1,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions on defense. What a ball player. Be still, my beating heart, Jimmy Frizzell. Oh, Jimmy Frizzell was so much fun. He was so good. He was a scrappy gym rat. First one in, last one out. Coach's son. All that. One of the top rookies in the AFL in 2005. Versus the New Orleans Voodoo. He set season highs with 12 receptions for 170 yards to defeat the Voodoo. Love me some Jimmy Frizzell. We got to find Jimmy Frizzell on socials. Get him on Off the Wall. Antoine Simmons from LA to Las Vegas, Gladiators at that point. Matt George, Tampa Bay Storm, kicker. Kicker lives matter. Somebody alert Peter Schwartz because it's Aaron Garcia. Aaron Garcia, the New York Dragons legend himself. And then we've got Sia Burley. Utah Blaze Sia Burley card, currently coaching for the Utah Great Eights in the IAL. So a full circle moment for this Sia Burley card. So what a pack. We had Aaron Garcia, Sia Burley, Jimmy Frizzell, Randy Gatewood. It's pack of the day by far. Pack of the day by far. That was a good one. Threw for 400 in the Arena Bowl. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. Here's a good question. Arizona benched Max Myler last week. Why has Arizona put Myler on the bench for a bunch of weeks? Or Arizona started Max Myler last week. So that's a great question. Supposedly, Drew Powell had a better grasp of the offense on Arizona, which makes sense. He's been there for a million years, so he would have the better grasp of it. Max Myler wasn't bad though. That's the thing. Like he ended up getting benched after the Vegas game where they lost by 14 in Vegas. That was the infamous Pushgate game. But for Arizona, it felt like Myler was doing a bang up job, and in that game, Myler overthrew a couple people, but his wide receivers weren't really helping him out. They had some costly drops at the same time. So yeah, Powell did a good job for a couple games, but he had a rough stretch there over a couple of weeks. So they went back to Myler, and I think it makes sense that they went back to Myler. The offense seemed to instantly bounce back this week, albeit it was against Chupacabras. So it is what it is. Take that for what it is. But it's a good tune-up game for them as they get ready for the San Diego Strike Force on Monday night indoor football. In the IFL, do you think Fishers could sneak into the playoffs in the last couple of weeks? And if so, whose spot do you think they would take? I do. I think the playoffs are very much in reach for them. I think the most realistic path is Orlando, because Orlando has a tough matchup against Green Bay this upcoming weekend. They play San Antonio the week after, who gave Vegas a bit of a fright, and they've been playing teams close all year. And that game's on the road for Orlando, so it's going to be a different challenge for them. And that last week of the season, assuming Fishers takes care of business next time they play against Quad City, final game of the season is Orlando versus Fishers in Fishers, Indiana. So that very well could be winner gets the 4 seed in the playoffs matchup. So I think if Fishers gets in, the most realistic path is giving Orlando the boot. I wonder what the IFL Austin team will be called. Great question. We should be getting some options here soon, I would think. Austin's previous IFL team was the Turf Cats. Maybe they resurrect that. I'm not a huge Turf Cats guy. Gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Arizona has been the same since the IFL Cup. Are there deeper issues going on in the desert? So they for Arizona, they've had a lot of injury issues, especially on the offensive line. They lost an offensive lineman to injury in the IFL Cup, and then they had a couple more in the weeks leading or in the weeks after the IFL Cup. And so at most, a team carries 4 offensive linemen on the roster. And I think at one point they had 3 injured offensive linemen. And on their Uncoiled Coaches show, they talked about how they flew in 2 offensive linemen for a game a couple weeks back where one of them had 1 day of practice and the other had none. And they just needed bodies out there. So not to give them too much of a get out of jail free card, but they've had some injury issues that they've been having to work through, and it seems like they're starting to get together. If they're not yet, they have to get it in order because the Sugar Skulls are breathing down their neck for that 3 seed, and if they want a chance at getting a home playoff game, which they have had a home playoff game every single year since 2010. 2010 or 2011. I think it's 2010. Pretty sure it's 2010. 2010, final answer. So going back 16 years, they've had at least 1 home playoff game, and that streak could come to an end this year if they get stuck with the 3 seed and whoever is the 1 seed advances. So that's an interesting little trivia tidbit for you as well. What do we got here? Living in Tucson being so close, the current belief is that Arizona's having issues with players since they can't pull from Tucson, but that's all gossip. That sounds extremely gossipy. I love it. I love where your head's at. I love the catty nature of that. I don't think that's the case, but I love that. I love that a lot. ELS Train Tuber picks for the weekend are Vegas, Green Bay, and San Diego. I can see that. I can very realistically see that. That San Diego, Arizona game is going to be so interesting. So interesting. What do we got here? Yeah, Alec, the Arizona was the 3 seed in 2024, but lucked into the home game because San Diego upset Bay Area. Yeah, so even when it looked like they weren't going to get one, they still got one. So that kind of makes you think, kind of makes you wonder, huh? Interesting. Thoughts on Evan Bird going to Beaumont? Good for him. He's got a couple games to put some things on tape. Oh, Jick Jack, you're trying to get me in trouble. You're trying to get me in trouble. Do you think Jacksonville should have kept Cahoon over Edwards? He's not even the best Edwards in the Eastern Conference. It is funny that there are 2 quarterbacks with the last name Edwards, and they both wear number 4, and they're both in the Eastern Conference. I think that's interesting. But I don't know. It's a cop-out answer, but the end of the day, you went 9-2 with James Cahoon as your quarterback. The Green Bay game wasn't the best game for anybody on Jacksonville, but to pull the trigger and make the change after that, after going 9-2, it seems, I don't know. It just seems late in the season to make a change at the most important position in all of indoor football, the quarterback, where Sammy Edwards is the more athletic quarterback, but I think Cahoon has the much better arm. And that's what excited me about the fit of Cahoon in Jacksonville heading into this season, was that Jacksonville has been extremely run heavy at the quarterback position over the past couple of years. And Cahoon brought an interesting element of he can fling it 40 yards down the field on a dot, as we saw him do multiple times out in Iowa last year while he was having that all-rookie IFL campaign. It feels like hindsight's 2020. You obviously went 0-2 since since the change. But to Alex's point earlier, the defense has not been playing well the past couple of weeks, and it's kind of unfair that wins and losses are commonly a quarterback statistic. But yeah, it's something where like it seems like you should have stuck with Cahoon, but it seems like there were outside pressures that were forcing a change to happen. And Edwards, being a hometown guy from North Florida, from the Jacksonville area, it is what it is, right? Like, I don't know. Sammy Edwards is good. Like, he played really, really well against San Diego. Unfortunately, he just made one or two mistakes that won't say cost them the game, but put them in a position where they couldn't really claw back either. So I think Sammy Edwards will be fine in the long run. Again, the timing of the switch is just odd. Like, if you're going to pull the trigger on the switch, it feels like you need to do it week 7, week 6, give half the season to kind of figure things out and go from there. Evan Bird did the worm and then crumbled. There's two eras of Evan Bird's life. There was his life before the bird, or before the worm. There's life after the worm. Inside the Nets, do you think it's possible we can collab one day? I'll never say never. Honestly, not too familiar, but yeah, we'll see what we can do in the future. All right, I'm over here staring at the cards. They're beckoning me like the Green Goblin mask. Here we go. There's another one. Great questions, great comments, guys. Love it. We got another guest that is a coin flip on if he'll be able to make it. So I'm hoping that he will. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh, here we go. Got Jim Kubiak. Pretty sure he's a Navy guy, right? Yeah, Navy quarterback Jim Kubiak. Someone tell Omar. In 2004, Kubiak played for the Austin Wranglers and threw 97 touchdown passes. Wow. Cornelius White, Chicago Rush. Was he wearing Destroyers gear? Yeah. Playing for the Destroyers. Oh, these are stuck together. Hopefully that's fine. Marlon Jackson. Cleveland Gladiator, or Las Vegas Gladiators. They weren't Cleveland yet. Oh, look at this big man. Jamar Ward in the midst of a big man touchdown. Look at him. We got here. We got Kevin Ingram. He was a good one for the Los Angeles Avengers. Oh, Coach E.J. Burt, former head coach of the Orlando Predators and current defensive coach for the Orlando Pirates. Coach Burt, I'm going to have to get the auto on that. Leon Murray. This guy is a cheat code on the Arena Football game. If you have the original Arena Football game, go to the Nashville Cats and put this guy in the lineup. Then last but not least, folks, we got him. Barry Wagner. The man, the myth, the legend. Barry freaking Wagner. We got it. We're sleeving it. We're sleeving it right now. When I say Barry Wagner is the greatest of all time, some people may disagree. Some people may say, but Eddie Brown, blah, blah, blah. No. Eddie Brown was tremendous. He was an offensive threat. But you're talking about old school arena football, Iron Man football. There's absolutely nobody better than Barry Wagner. Top 10 in receptions, top 10 in receiving yards, top 10 in touchdowns, top 10 in tackles, top 10 in fumbles recovered, top 10 in interceptions. Name a category. The guy was top 10 in it. Got it in the sleeve, folks. What PSA grade this? Like, what if I sent this out to PSA, would they realistically grade it? I think they would, right? How hilarious would that be? A PSA graded Barry Wagner card? Unbelievable. Unreal. Oh, we got some questions here. Lovebird's podcast. Yeah, our Arena Goat podcast is awesome. Go check it out. Hype. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The poker face I had to put on while I was separating the cards, I saw Barry Wagner's name. And I'll have to review the footage to see how well my poker face actually was. I thought I sold it pretty well because I was trying to contain my excitement. I didn't want to freak out. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I have, where are they? I have a set of Orlando Predators cards where Barry Wagner's in it. So I think I have 2 Barry Wagner cards now. Where did I put that set? I literally set it aside so that I wouldn't lose it. I could have it to reference. And wouldn't you know it? I mean, oh, here it is. Got it. Let's do a little side-by-side comparison of the cards. Barry Wagner. Barry Wagner. Unreal. Unbelievable. I love this sport so much. It's the best. Barry. What is your favorite arena team name ever? Great question. I grew up going to Orlando Predators games, so that's a very biased answer from my perspective. But let me pull up a list here. Pull up a team list of old arena football league names. Firebirds is pretty good. Albany Firebirds is pretty dang good. Buffalo Destroyers, that's a great name. Detroit Drive, love good alliteration. Houston Thunder Bears, that I love when they're just outside of the box, off the wall names, if you will, of teams. Louisiana, or not Louisiana, the New Orleans Voodoo. We don't talk about the Louisiana Voodoo. The New Orleans Voodoo, great name, great branding, great colors, great everything. Philadelphia Soul, great team. Soul Man as the mascot. A1, love it. San Jose Sabercats, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of really good ones in there. They graded pennies, coins. They grade anything. Folks, I'm going to have to get a Barry Wagner card graded. I don't know the first thing about this, so if anybody in the chat knows about grading cards, please let me know. What else we got? Chris has all the Crush cards from 2005 graded by SGC, so I'd imagine PSA would as well. All right, interesting. What was this question? I missed it. Oh, what city do you think most deserves an arena or indoor football team? So that's an interesting question, because I think the city that deserves it is the city that has an ownership group that's willing to make it happen. So we can look at a map and wish upon a star geographically and wish for days of yonder, like a lot of folks in this arena sphere do. Doesn't really do us a ton of good, though, because if you don't have a good ownership group, it's all for nothing. Like what we saw in AFL 2024. AFL 2024, we had the Georgia Force, we had the Philadelphia Soul, but they were getting propped up by toothpicks, and that doesn't do anybody any good. So looking at the map, I would love to see a Milwaukee team or a Chicago team or somewhere in that Midwest area. It just gets really tough in that area. Quad Cities is not too far from Chicago. Would love to see a team in Philadelphia as well. I think the Philly area would be a great fit, especially for Albany, if they were to get a regional partner up there. New Orleans, it seems like you got to be able to make New Orleans work somehow, some way. It just seems like it's possible. It's right there. I'm just looking at a map now to see what else makes sense. Spokane, I would love to see Spokane back again. That'd be a fun regional partner for Washington if Spokane were to get back in the mix. But great question. Yeah, let me know what you guys think geographically. What makes sense? It's a good one from Alec. Wildcard answer here, but I'd love to see a Mohegan team. They're losing the Sun next summer, so what better way to transition that fan base into the indoor war? Yeah, Mohegan, Connecticut. That'd be super interesting. The Bazooka Sharks. Great poll, Juno. Great poll. PSA is hands down the best grading company. Good to know. Thank you. Good to know. Simpsons had an arena team called the Springfield Stun. Love when cartoons get in the mix on a good arena ball. Ooh, throwing a dart into left field. An IFL team in the UP of Michigan. Interesting. That'd be very interesting. What's up there in the UP? My Michigan people, are there any like notable cities up there? It's not too far from Duluth, so that'd be good for the Minnesota Monsters if they made that happen. Yeah, I'm looking at the Upper Peninsula of Michigan now. I'm not seeing any team or any city names I recognize, so that might not be a great thing. I don't know. Might not be a great thing. All right, let's do another pack. Enough is enough. Once again, if you just joined us, thank you for being here. We've had quite an episode 100. We had Trey Harvey on earlier. We've been ripping packs. And then we've got the off-the-wall t-shirts available on offthewallfb.com. They are marked down to $20 to be able to celebrate episode 100. Quite the milestone that I'm super proud of over here, and want to be able to spread the love and spread the lore of Off the Wall via t-shirts. So go to offthewallfb.com, click on the shop banner or shop tab, and then then buy a discounted t-shirt. Probably get some arena football cards thrown in the mix there. Might throw in a little something extra in addition to that as well. So let's see what we got. See what we got. And then we got Royal Retros as well. So Royal Retros, use the link in the description below to buy something from Royal Retros. Use code OFFTHEWALL for 10% off. You get a discount. You get a really cool piece of merch. And then I get a little kickback. So literally everybody wins. All right. Got another pack here. Oh, camera's adjusting. Inside the Nets. Can someone tell me why Omaha was in the IFL and left to go to a downgrade? So that's a very loaded question, unfortunately. The IFL wasn't exactly what it is now back then. Geographically, it makes more sense for Omaha to be in their current situation. So I wouldn't say it was a downgrade for them because it makes sense for what they are and what they want to be. I would love to see them be as you know these leagues grow. I'd love to see some leagues potentially join forces and pool resources. I think that would be really, really sweet, but it would require a lot of folks to be nice to each other, and that doesn't always happen. All right, so we got another pack here. We got Clarence Lawson, the Arizona Rattlers. Oh, what a name. Wilkie Bazil, Las Vegas Gladiators. Thabiti Davis. Thabiti Davis is a monster. He was such a good wide receiver. 6'3", 215. 2005, he had 113 catches for 995. And 19 touchdowns in 2004 for the Detroit Fury. He had 26 touchdowns on 127 catches for 1,500 yards. So what a ball player. Got Cornelius White, Chicago Rush, but in his Columbus Destroyers attire. BJ Cohen. This is the year that Katrina hit New Orleans, so all the New Orleans players had to be dispersed throughout the league, and a bunch of them went to Kansas City to be a part of the brigade. Jared Penwright. That's what I love about opening these cards like this. You get to, like, even some of the names you're not familiar with, you get to learn a lot about the history of the sport, which is very cool. Fred Coleman, wide receiver DB, San Jose. Then we got another fantastic name. Lanarius Elfiage. Lanarius Elfiage. Tampa Bay Storm. That's a little two-way player. Also on the backs of all these cards, if you look, it has a little fun tidbit. Safeties in the Arena Football League are worth 2 points, just like in the NFL. That's fun. Let's see what other ones we got here. Oh, here's a very fun trivia fact. Only twice in Arena Football League history has a game ended in a tie. Look at that. In Arena Football, the Mac and Jack linebackers, the Mac may rush the quarterback straight without stunting or twisting. The Jack must stay within an imaginary box behind the line of scrimmage. The Jack linebacker rule used to be a nightmare for new fans to try to determine and figure out. It went from being you had to stay in the box to you had to stay within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage from wall to wall, which was much, much easier. Here we go. Here's a fun fact. On April 26, 1986, the Arena Football League held its test game in Rockford, Illinois. Some very fun facts. Some very, very fun facts. I need a jersey card. I need a jersey card badly. There's no way we're going through all these packs tonight, by the way. We'll have to save some for the future streams, perhaps. Yeah, Alec can confirm trading cards are possible as a part of an OTW purchase. So I'm not lying over here. I include some goodies and things and stuff. These things are tough. And I know I have fat fingers, but geez Louise. Here we go. Another John Fitzgerald. Another John Fitzgerald here. Another E2 Moden. Let's go. Love E2. Oh, Rupert Grant. Remember this guy rocked. Fullback linebacker. He was a bowling ball whenever he had the ball in his hands. Rich Young. What a great name. Oh, great Thabiti Davis card. Arena action. It's probably one of the better pictures you see. Calvin Spears. Solid wide receiver DB. Oh, Darrell Hammond, RIP. Darrell Hammond was a guy. He was unbelievable. Wide receiver, linebacker, big body. Him and Corey Fleming on the field at the same time was absurd for the Nashville Cats way back in the day. Longest tenured player in Arena Football League history, Hammond was a key player for the Nashville Cats in 2005. The Virginia product has returned 8 interceptions for touchdown in his career, which ranks as the third most in league history. 15-year career, 791 catches, 8,400 yards, 142 touchdowns, 630 tackles, 31 interceptions, 24 forced fumbles recovered, and 8 touchdown returns. And he was an extra on the set of The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. So there you go. Next time you watch The Longest Yard, see if you can find Darrell Hammond. And Ernest Certain. Ernest Certain. Yeah, R.I.P. Darrell Hammond, man. Coders in the Nets or the Deuce, which is better? I think the Nets, but does add an off-the-wall aspect that visually might turn off traditional football fans. Hey, whoa, coders. Whoa, coders. Off the wall is a good thing. Off the wall is a very good thing, coders. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's the following sentence that I'm going to say is going to upset some people, and I'm willing to accept the consequences of those people being upset. The rebound nets are a great gimmick. Gimmick is not bad. Gimmick gets lumped in as a bad word a lot of the times, but it is what visually draws people in, and it's what visually stops people from changing the channel. They see that on the broadcast. They're like, whoa, what is happening there? It's a good hook. It's a good thing to get people to be like, what is going on here? I need to learn more about this. So I like the nets. It feels like the future of the 50-yard football at this point is probably with just the uprights, just because the nets have operationally been a pain for a lot of folks, and that's why some teams don't want to do it anymore. But yeah, the nets add a really interesting wrinkle to the game that can't be replicated. We had a bar ball in the San Diego Jacksonville game, but yeah, I mean I don't know. I think the nets are good. If I think in episode 99 with Ari Wolf, which is on the YouTube page, if you haven't checked it out, please do so. On that, Ari mentioned that he likes the indoor rule set, but if you had the indoor rule set mixed with the nets, you have a very, very interesting product there. Very, very interesting product that could have some legs. So we'll see what ends up happening with the nets. It's no longer just trademarks. Only one league can use them. Any league could technically use them at this point. All right, we're coming up on 2 hours here. Might call it a wrap. Doesn't look like our guest is going to be able to join us, but that's okay. That is a-okay. It was a 50-50 shot based on some other things and stuff they had going on. I got one more here. Ooh. Cornelius Bonner. I wonder if he's any relation to Said. I wouldn't think so. Ricky Parker, wide receiver DB for the Georgia Force. Henry Bryant. Silas Demery. Silas Demery. These are stuck together. Silas Demery. I'm looking something up before I put my foot in my mouth here. No, it's not him. Okay, I thought this was the player that passed away on the field, but it is not. Joe Germain, shown in Arizona Rattlers gear, but ended up playing for the Utah Blaze. Was a very good quarterback for the Utah Blaze. Sean Scott, Philadelphia Soul. Tony Dodson, kicker, Nashville. Kickers matter too. And we got Shalon Baker. Now, Shalon Baker was a tiny little guy. He was like 5'7", 185, soaking wet, holding a barbell. But he was good. He was really, really good. He was that wide receiver DB position. Spent his entire 7-year career with the San Jose SaberCats. In Baker's first 2 seasons, he combined for 38 touchdowns and 1,900 yards receiving. Oh, look at this fun fact at the bottom. Attendance at Arena Football League games in 2005 averaged 12,829 per contest. Averaged 12,000 people in attendance. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us pulling the rope in the same direction, but you know what? We'll get there. We will bring arena football and indoor football back to what it was. And beyond. And beyond. All right, going to buy a little more time here. We're going to do one more. I'm going to do one more. Thanks, Mad Mel. Good show, wall boy. That's what some people call me, apparently. Wall boy. Oh, God. This pack's going to make me emotional for the wrong reasons. BJ Barry. Another duplicate one. Randy Gatewood. We'll take another Randy. Another Jim Kubiak. Support the troops. Another Cornelius White. Oh, here's a fun one. Arena Bowl champion, Colorado Crush. Chris Pointer. Marcus Owen, New York Dragons. Somebody tell Peter Schwartz. Then the last card here. Justin Skaggs. Justin Skaggs was a Orlando Predators wide receiver DB who went to Utah and tragically passed. I think he was like 22 or 23 years old when he passed, or he was extremely young, maybe not that young, but yeah, I remember we were at a Orlando Predators game. I believe it was in 2006. I want to say it was 2006 where they did like a moment of silence for him, and it was like so crazy. It was like, man, he was on the team last year and he was so young. He was like maybe 27 at that point, if I'm doing the math right. Yeah, so Justin Skaggs, RIP. RIP, man. All right, so these are all the packs we opened tonight. Got some good stuff in there. No jersey inserts, no super fun autographs or anything, but got some good stuff in there. Got the Barry Wagner, so got the Holy Grail itself. Holy Grail itself, we got that going for us. All right, get your last minute questions in before we wrap it up here, folks. Let's see. Do you think Yahoo and the IFL are capable of having a 1 million viewer game one day? Never say never. That's a lot of people. But you know, given the trajectory that the league is going, it's on the table. The Fishers versus Jacksonville game a few weeks back had what, 434,000. So as games get a little bit more intense, and as you know, the IFL becomes a little bit more synonymous with Yahoo Sports, very well could happen. Very, very well could happen. Very well could happen. All right, last call for any comments, questions, hot takes, cold takes. I know some of y'all got some that are you're holding on to. C-Dog, I think by 2028 or 2029. I think that, yeah, the Natty could flirt with 1 million. Like, depending on how things work out, it could be interesting to see what type of ramp up and to see what type of traction they should get. I'm doing one more. I can't stop. Can't help myself. I stared at this box on my desk for a month and a half. I'm opening these cards. All right, here we go. Here we go. Got Marley and Jackson. These cards are stuck together. Bad. Got Jamar Ward. Big man. Love a good big man score. Clarence Lawson. There you go. Got a cheerleader dancer card. Shout out Laverne. Oh, got another one. Jimmy Frizzell, the dude. Jimmy Frizzell. Kevin Ingram. James Hunden. Gonna have to do some digging on some of these guys. And Stacey Evans, last card, New York Dragons. Stacey Evans. Can you go back to my previous question about Iowa? Yeah, let's take a look. Where was it? Looking for it. What's stopping Iowa from a complete restart? Do they see something in their team, or do they not want to invest in a significant change? So this is an interesting question, because with the way IFL set up and contracts and everything is set up, every year is technically a complete restart. And going from what they had in 2025 to what they have in 2026, different approach. I think Dave Mogensen had a few more connections within the Midwest area, so he was able to pull some talent a little easier. While I think Coach Coles' network is more down in the Texas area, and that's where he's been for the past little while. So it's hard because it's also an investment in resources thing where on paper everyone should be equal in that department, but that's not necessarily the case, and is often why you see some teams with a more stacked roster than others. I was in a spot where they have to use a lot of rookies, just because that's what the resources dictate. So I like what they've been doing with David Elder, using him in that running back, wide receiver, kick return spot. Defensively, they've had some flashes of good things. I think for at the quarterback spot, it's tough to win games when you have a carousel at the quarterback spot, and Iowa's a perfect example of that. So I think they'll probably need some additional resources in order to be competitive in the Eastern Conference. And final question from Sea-Dog, the GOAT. Do you still think San Diego will win it all, or have you changed your mind? Great question, Sea-Dog. I know you're a big San Diego guy. I do. I do. I really do. I like San Diego. I like what they have roster-wise. It seemed like they weathered the storm of injuries pretty well. Ed Vander was out for a little while. He's back. The ball's flowing through him. Nate Davis is really working that run game and making it a part of the offense, making it a very important part of the offense. And he's still able to fling it and get it out to some of his weapons on the outside. Kyle Kelly being a good red zone option. Whenever they get the ball within 5 yards of the end zone, bring in Kyle Kelly, put him next to Ed Vander. That's worked wonders for them so far this season. So I think they have a really good team. Defensive line has been really, really good for San Diego as well. So I think that's the key for teams that you've seen win the IFL championship the past few years. They have an offense that can go, and then they have a defensive line that can be disruptive to the opposing offense. And I think San Diego checks all those boxes. Then you got a guy like Ernesto Lacayo who can be a wild card on special teams and make deuces and make field goals and be pretty consistent with extra points. It seems like San Diego's set up in a really good spot to make a run. And if the road to the IFL championship goes through Oceanside, I like their odds. I really do. So I really like this San Diego team. All right. I think that's going to do it. Our second guest didn't materialize, but it was a coin flip. It was dependent on a couple things bouncing our way, and unfortunately it just didn't happen. So fun episode. Thanks again to Mr. Trey Harvey for joining the program, and best of luck to Tulsa moving forward. We've got one heck of a season coming along here, and it's going to be a very, very fun race to the finish. And this Eastern Conference race is going to be very, very, very good. There's so many different directions this thing can go, and depending on how the games play out over the next couple of weeks, we're in for a thrill ride. And that's the same thing with the top seeds in the West. We're looking at a really good finish to the regular season. So the playoffs are going to be amazing. The national championship is going to be amazing. Into the IFL season is going to be awesome. The AF1's wrapping up, a couple weeks left in the season before they hit the postseason. So really good times ahead, and embrace the indoor and arena football season. We got about a month and a half left of it. So enjoy every game, enjoy every snap, enjoy it all. Fall time will be here before we know it, and we'll be stuck with outdoor football. Ugh. Kidding. I like outdoor football too. Yeah. Thank you so much. There's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about 2 hours and 10 minutes or so, a long one today. That's what happens when we do some streams. The fact that you chose to spend that time here with Off the Wall means a lot. So really appreciate all of y'all. Really appreciate the love and support through 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB, Instagram, X/Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the things and stuff. YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Spotify, Apple Podcasts is going to be a rough episode. So if you're listening to this point, you're already 2 hours in. So it's a very visual heavy episode. Very, very, very visual heavy episode. But yeah, thank you so much for all love and support. come engage on socials, come join the conversation, and yeah, let's enjoy the weekend of football ahead. So take care. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.